That's it. Camera's rolling. It's got 34 minutes of memory there. Okay, Brian, before every flight we go through a series of checks.
Yep.
We remember them with the mnemonic CB, SIP, CBE. There is no quiz at the end. The first C stands for controls. I'll make sure all the controls are full and free.
Yep.
Now your microphone by your right elbow is interfering with my rudder pedal, so just need to, that microphone just needs to pull it up a bit out of the way.
Okay.
That's it. Controls are full and free. B is ballast. I need to know that you're below 15.5 stone.
Yes.
S is straps. Make sure your straps are tight but comfortable.
Yep.
I is instruments. That glider's climbing quite well up there, look. I is instruments. We'll come back to him. Instruments are good. F is flaps. T is the trimmer. C is the canopy. Coming down over our heads. And it gets quite warm with it. And B brakes. Okay, David. So we will take a launch, Brian, and come straight back to where that glider's circling.
Right, okay.
If we get to the top of the launch, that is. We'll have the cable on now, and we'll wait till the winch driver gets back down there. Closed. Now we are being launched by a piece of string. If that bit of string breaks during the launch, we'll have a shorter flight than we expected. There'll be a bang normally as the cable breaks. When that bang happens, we start to decelerate. So the first thing I do is I lower the nose by moving the stick forward and point the aircraft back at the ground. All a bit worrying, but we're having to do this to pick up our speed again. Is there a bug in the cockpit?
Here's a wasp again.
So should we let it out?
Just drop down.
Oh, he'll be right. He's been there all day, actually. A wasp?
A wasp, yes.
Ooh, stay there. You're not allergic to wasps, are you?
No.
Not that we know. If I end up with anaphylactic shock, the press to talk is on the top of the stick and the microphone, you know where it is.
Yeah. Right, except that's not required.
There's two gliders circling up there now.
Oh, yes.
And he's going up nicely. That's where we're going, yes. So the cable's now moving.
Going, yeah.
The acceleration will start very shortly. It's quite rapid. Now we're doing 60 miles an hour, and if you look along the right-hand wing, if you have a look to your right, Brian, you can see how steep we're climbing. Really, really steep. We're forcing ourselves, we're easing the stick back as we progress up the launch to counteract the extra downward force on the cable. Near the top, there's going to be a bit of a bang as I release, which is about now, and I'm going to turn immediately left and go to where that glider is turning.
Wow.
In fact, we're in lift here now, so we're going to stay here. You see our variometer, it's reading 4 up at the moment. So we are in fact going to stay here, Brian. What I intend to do is gain a bit of height and then give you the controls. But meanwhile, please come onto the controls gently with your right hand.
Yes.
And try to see what I'm doing, really feel what I'm doing. It might give you a clue for later. We're in a turn. Even though the stick is now central, we're not rolling any steeper, are we? To control my angle of bank, I either move the stick and rudder to the high wing to reduce my bank in this fashion, or stick and rudder to the low wing to increase my bank. But at the same time, I'm looking at the horizon because the attitude is very important. Notice where the horizon is in comparison to the canopy or the nose at the moment. Use maybe that piece of Peter that's sticking up as a reference. There's a glider coming to join us now. And he'll be turning in the same direction as us. He's seen us climbing, so good look over our left shoulder, make sure he has seen us, he has. And he's done a very poor turn there. In fact, he's going to shove us out, I think. No, we have room. He He's in the wrong place, we're in the right place. However, it's both our responsibilities to not hit each other. If he continues the way he is, I'm going to have to move over to him. He's not climbing as fast as us. Well, I don't know actually, he may be climbing a fraction quicker. What do you think so far?
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
You look right of your nose now, you'll see that little single-seater that was in circuit with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're climbing quite nicely here. There's two training gliders down in that thermal, but we are climbing faster than both of them. You see that little single-seater up there? He's way up. It's on the nose now. We're climbing at about 400 feet a minute, Brian. Which is all very nice. You can see him again. We keep getting a warning of another glider. But we are climbing much quicker, so I'm going to stay where I am. Although every time we come towards each other, we're about the same height. Come underneath him. I much prefer, the protocol when you're soaring is to turn in the same direction and on the opposite side of the turn. Less chance of collision when you're there.
That's good, let's carry on with that then.
There you go, how's that? We're on the opposite side of the turn. We get to get a sense of speed as well now. If you hadn't noticed, we've been climbing at about 300 feet a minute, and we're currently at 1,800 feet.
That's fine. What's the next one you do at 2,000?
So again, we launched to 1,200,
1,200, yeah.
and we're now at 1,800. Climbing very nicely. And when you look around, you think, my God, where is that air mass, where is it coming from? Well, the mechanics is fairly simple. The sun heats the ground. Different parts of the ground take in the heat more than others. Well, all you need is a bit of a difference. Like we've got a big concrete area down below us. Contrasting that, we have fields surrounding. So some areas heat up more readily than others. When the ground gets so warm, the actual air becomes less dense and then starts to rise, which is what we're in now, a thermal. What we're going to do now is fly over to where this bird is. If you look up and left, you'll notice a kite. Straight up above us now.
Oh yes, I see, yeah.
Now he'll be in the better air. Guaranteed. So you're still following through on the controls, Brian?
Yes, I'm not focused on the controls completely, so you carry on driving.
Carry on driving. It is amazing, isn't it? It's just free energy. Bloody marvellous. Oh, you can feel that surge there. The thermal is a bit like, if you can imagine a dartboard sat on the floor.
Yeah.
The bullseye, which is where the strongest thermal is, the strongest air is, that's where all the birds are flying. Because we're a lot bigger, we turn around about, imagine the kind of where the treble ring is.
Yeah.
But we're aiming to try and circle around the centre all the time.
Right.
If we are centred, the rate of climb will be consistent throughout the whole turn. At the moment it is not. There's the surge.
Oh yes.
There's a bird right next to the other aircraft there.
Oh yes.
I'm going to go back over there, that's where the bird is. I'd like you to get a look at the kite, because they're very inquisitive. And they come and look at us. You can see him down there now in front of us. Yeah. He'll come onto one of our wingtips in a second. He's diving, he's doing all sorts of stuff. And there we are, we're now at 2,100 feet already. And I think that's sufficient height now to give you a good go on the controls.
Right. Okay.
So what we're going to do now is roll the glider wings level, and we're call our normal attitude, Brian.
Yeah.
That's with the glider trimmed out. It's quite happy to fly on its own. Notice where the nose is in relation to the horizon. Notice our speed, about 44 knots. Okay, well, if we keep this attitude consistent, the speed will stay at 44 knots. If we wish to fly a few knots faster, follow me through. We move the stick forward half an inch or so. The nose goes to a new attitude. Speed increases. You can hear the noise increasing too. To slow down, we ease the stick back. The nose comes up. Speed decreases. Noise decreases. But I need to return to my normal attitude before we lose our speed. That's our normal attitude there. So commit that to memory. You have control, Brian. Have a feel of how powerful that control is. Just by gently easing forward and backwards. Remember, we can't leave the nose high for a prolonged period. They're just returning left. To bring our wings level, we move the stick and rudder towards the higher wing. In this case, the right. So a little bit of right rudder and right aileron. There we go. The wings are now level. Once the wings are level, we check our attitude. And once more, just have a look at our speed. If the speed is correct, the attitude will remain as it is. Wonderful. So we'll move on to turning. You are turning right at the moment. If you move your stick and rudder to the left, that will bring the wings level. At the same time, put the nose in the normal attitude. You need to lower the nose a fraction, Brian. I have a second, otherwise you'll feel a horrible falling feeling. So we'll talk about turning, yeah?
Yeah.
Follow through on the controls. Remember we talked about the rudder on the ground?
Yes.
If I apply left rudder, well, first of all we'll pick a feature on the nose, on the horizon. I'm now going to apply left rudder. The nose swings out to the left, but we haven't changed direction.
Yeah.
Rudder central, the feature swings back roughly in the same place again. Now if I try and turn with stick only, tell me what happens, okay? So we're not going to move the rudder, we're going to move the stick to the left, stick to the right.
Yeah, so we're still in the same direction.
Stick to the left. We're really going in the same direction. The glider will not turn unless we combine the stick and the rudder together. So to turn, Brian, we're going to look out, we're going to go to the left. So start a good look out from the left, all the way around the horizon, scanning above and below. Finish our look out to the right. Then when we're happy, we look straight ahead, check the attitude, and roll the glider with aileron and rudder together. Take off those controls once the aircraft's in the bank that you require. We then adjust the attitude, we're still with 4 draft moves on the stick. If the bank increases, move the stick and rudder towards the higher wing until you have the angle of bank that you require. A nice shallow turn initially is what we're looking for. So while we're maintaining a turn, we're just keeping a constant look at our attitude, checking our speed, and adjusting our bank as required. To come out of the turn, Brian, we look under the higher wing first. When we're happy, stick and rudder towards the high wing, and then centralise them once the wings are level. Would you like to have a go at that? You have control.
Okay, so go to the right.
We're going to do a turn to the right, so have a good look out first. Roll the glider in. When you roll in, look straight ahead. That tells you what the nose is doing. Perfect. And now we're maintaining our turn, so keep an eye on your attitude, your angle of bank, and we should be looking right now because that's the way we're going. If your nose rises, just a gentle ease forward to put it back in the correct position. To come out of the turn, look under your high wing, then look straight ahead, roll the glider wings level and readjust your attitude. Very good. If you didn't know, that's my feet and that's my hands. So you're doing all this. So attitude and lookout are very important. If you keep the attitude correct, your speed will normally be about right, and the rest of it becomes second nature. So let's try a good turn to the right, Brian. Look out first, all the way around the horizon to the left side, then look straight ahead as you enter the turn. Once you're in the turn, check your attitude and look out in the direction we're going now. Nicely done. Very good. I'm not clapping because you're clever, I'm just clapping to show you I'm not on the controls. That's a very good turn. To bring the wings level, look under the high wing, and then look straight ahead and roll the wings level with stick and rudder together. A bit more rudder. Once the wings are level, recheck your attitude. Well done, that's brilliant.
Absolutely wonderful.
Nose is a little bit high, that's better. You say you've never flown before?
Only commercial, flights, and holiday.
Well, you're actually in a thermal again, Brian, so if you continue turning, we'll go and gain some height. See how you do there. We're at 1,400 feet, you have control. Just try and monitor your angle of bank and keep it not too steep. And monitor your nose position. Nicely done. Nose is a little bit high, that's better. So, what's the biggest danger up here, Brian?
I suppose other aircraft.
Yep.
Wind.
What's wind? Flying into another aircraft is a big kind of would ruin your day a little bit. So while we're flying along, we do keep a thorough lookout.
Yeah.
And not only to our left and right, but also above and below. If I get you to fly straight and level now, we'll try that. Pick a feature directly ahead of you. Now the most difficult thing to do in a glider is to fly in a straight line. Your nose is a little bit high, therefore your speed's slightly slow. That's it. So, let's go for that ball that's on the nose now, on the horizon. You see the spy satellite. We'll try and fly straight towards that. If you need to change direction, remember to use rudder and stick at the same time. Nose is a little bit high. Bit of a balancing act. I'm sure the ball was on our nose a minute ago. So roll it gently round to the right. Just before we get there, start feeding the controls in the opposite direction. Not bad at all, you're just under-ruddering a tiny bit, Brian. That's very good though, for a first attempt. Marvellous. Okay, we are losing altitude, height. We're down to 1,100 feet now. So we're now starting to think about our circuit, which starts at about this point here at 800 feet.
Yeah.
So at the moment, let's do just a gentle left-hand turn. Good look out before you turn. Then look straight ahead as you enter the turn. That tells you a lot of things. And then once we start changing direction, look in the direction we are going. And remember to be looking out is above as well. There's another glider soaring with us. It could be just a few meters above us. Nicely done. I bet you didn't think you'd be doing this much flying.
No, absolutely not. When I looked at the website, it said, you're going to do 90% of the work.
Can you hear the speed increasing? That's it, gently back on the stick and roll the wings level. So stick and rudder towards the left. Don't be trying to move them a bit more. Like this, there you go. Force it over. There we go. You have control again. Marvellous. 90% of the flying. It's probably not far off. Okay, we're a little bit slow, Brian. So lower the nose a fraction. And that's it. And then continue this turn to the right and we'll go and join the circuit. Follow through on the controls for a second. I'm going to point you in the right direction and we'll get you to fly the downwind leg. Pick something on the nose now. You have control. So we're going to fly about 45 knots straight towards the item that's on your nose. In fact, we need to come left about 15 degrees. So just pick another feature. About there on your nose now. The further away the better. You've probably got the recycling plant on the horizon. Nose is getting a little bit high again, Brian. That's it. Remember, we have no engine, so we always have to point towards the ground. And follow me through on the controls now. Okay, prior to landing, we carry out our pre-landing checks. Water ballast is dumped, undercarriage is down. Loose articles, which includes us. Make sure your straps haven't worked loose during the flight. And flaps. If we had flaps, we would set them for landing. Now for the approach, we'll be flying the approach at about 50 knots. The reason for the extra speed, it gives us a bit more control. And also when we open the air brakes, we'll have to lower our nose sufficiently to maintain that new speed. Looking out to our right now, good look out, then look straight ahead, roll into a right hand turn. This is what we call our diagonal leg. We're now wings level again, looking at the landing area, looking ahead of us to see who else is in the circuit, and having a contingency plan in case we have to land elsewhere. I'm going to do my second, this is onto my base leg turn now, leveling the wings here. We're still a little bit high. We've actually been in lift for the last few seconds. And my final turn is just that, a right hand turn. We point straight up the field. We ought to be landing in a parallel to where we took off. And you just bring your left knee in slightly. I need to use the air brakes here. So we're controlling our speed with attitude, our rate of descent with the brakes. The brakes can be moved to any position. We just set them as required. Hopefully by this stage the brake setting is correct. And we'll now concentrate on floating the glider over that path in front of us and touching down just past it. So bringing the nose up now, floating over that path, holding the glider off, and there we go. Once we're on the ground, the stick is on the backstop. We steer with rudder, and we keep the wings level with aileron.
Absolutely brilliant.
How was that?
Absolutely wonderful.
I shall open the canopy, let some fresh air in, and switch off your video.